Adults are probably no strangers to hyperactive, mischievous children. We surely know of many cases where kids have caused terrible things due to their curiosity. But how far can children's wrongdoings go? In 1993 in England, two boys named John Venables and Robert Thompson became the perpetrators in the murder of 2-year-old James Bulger. No one could explain the reason behind this cruel act. Moreover, things became even more complicated when the British authorities tried every way to protect the perpetrators. On February 12, 1993, in Merseyside, England, 2-year-old James Bulger and his mother Denise went to a shopping center. At the butcher shop, Mrs. Denise was momentarily distracted and let go of her son's hand to pay. In just a moment, she realized the boy had vanished. According to witnesses and security camera footage, two 10-year-old boys named John Venables and Robert Thompson were causing trouble. They had skipped school to shoplift candy, toys, and a can of paint. However, their most suspicious behavior was constantly eyeing young children as if looking for a suitable victim. When Mrs. Denise was distracted, the boys seized the opportunity to lure James away. Thanks to security cameras, we have an image of the moment James was abducted, just 2 minutes after mother and son arrived at the butcher shop. The strange pair led James across a nearby canal. This was when they revealed their oppressive nature. According to some witnesses, they pushed him down, causing scrapes and bruises, and threatened to throw the boy into the canal and let him drown. The little boy cried in panic, but almost no one came to help or inquire, even though this was a busy street not far from the shopping center. If anyone spoke up, John and Robert would say it was just their little brother or simply a lost child they were helping to the police station. Afterward, John and Robert led the victim a long distance to a railway in a nearby residential area. They immediately threw the stolen paint into James' eyes and attacked the boy. Finally, they dropped a piece of railway track on his head. At this point, the boy was barely moving. To cover up their crime, the two young criminals placed him on the railway tracks and put large rocks on the boy's body, hoping that when a train passed, it would destroy the victim's body, making it impossible for investigators to solve the case. After John and Robert left, just as they had calculated, James' body was discovered by a group of children a few days later. However, the damage was so severe that the coroner could not determine which injury had caused the boy's death. They suspected that John and Robert had raped James, as James' hat and pants had been discarded. The James Bulger case quickly became the focus of the British police force. They quickly found video footage showing James holding hands with one of the killers at the shopping center. However, they still thought the perpetrator was an adult because no child could do something so cruel. Therefore, the investigation gradually reached a dead end because no one matched the suspect's description. Fortunately, when the images were broadcast in the media, a woman recognized John Venables and Robert Thompson. Remembering that they hadn't gone to school that day, she immediately notified the police. Although surprised that the suspects might be children, the English police had to detain John and Robert. The police were even more surprised because the evidence of these two children's crimes was so clear. Their clothes still had paint stains, and their boots had blood samples matching the DNA found in James' body. When questioned, they confessed that on that day, they had planned to kidnap a child and kill them. However, when questioned about sexual abuse details, both boys fell silent and refused to say anything. The police's discovery shocked the whole of England. No one could believe that such a horrific murder was committed by two 10-year-old children. Public opinion also became harsh towards them, to the extent that many people sent threatening letters to the families of these two children. The police even had to relocate their parents. On November 1, 1993, John Venables and Robert Thompson were brought to trial as adults due to the severity of the case. To protect the identity of these two children, the court named them Child A and Child B. But this did not make the public any less curious, as more than 500 people came to attend the trial. John and Robert adamantly denied that they had kidnapped James. However, with such clear evidence, the two evil perpetrators could no longer deny it. The court determined that the two 11-year-old children were old enough to understand that their actions were not only illegal, but also the most barbaric in criminal history. Therefore, they sentenced John and Robert and imprisoned them for a very long time, at least 8 years. Thus, John Venables and Robert Thompson officially became the youngest murderers of the 20th century. After the trial, a judge decided to imprison John and Robert for at least 10 years. However, the public's outrage at the cruel actions of the two children led to a petition with over 200,000 signatures asking to increase their prison sentence. As a result, the sentence was increased to 15 years. In 1999, John and Robert's lawyers argued that trying two 11-year-old children as adults was not fair under the law and requested that the court reconsider. In 2001, after reviewing the case files, the court determined that the two no longer posed any harm to society and allowed both to be released on parole. So John Venables and Robert Thompson became free citizens after only 8 years behind bars. However, their lives were not simple at all. To protect them, the British government had to give both new identities, including personal documents, passports, health records, and even personal histories, all provided by the government. Moreover, to keep public opinion quiet about this decision, the British government also banned the press from reporting on John Venables. This ban was very strict because even publishing John's photo in a newspaper article or even a video online would be severely punished. Furthermore, the British government also had some conditions for both. They could not return to Merseyside, always had to report to their supervising inspector, and could not reveal their identity to anyone. If they violated any of these conditions, the authorities could arrest and detain them at will. Due to these restrictions, it's very difficult to find official information about the lives of these two individuals. Indeed, Robert Thompson has almost vanished from the face of the earth, and currently, no one knows where he is or what he's doing. He may have reformed, as the government hasn't released any information about him. But John Venables is a different story. As a normal citizen, he began collecting perverted images, mainly of child abuse. Moreover, he also started drinking alcohol and using stimulant drugs. This led to him violating some of the conditions set by the government, such as visiting a nightclub. The authorities intervened, but fortunately for John, the police agreed not to imprison him on the condition that he quit using stimulants. However, just a few months later, he was caught again for possessing opium. It was also because of his habit of collecting offensive images of children that John had to eat government food, go to prison, many times. He seemed unable to abandon his sick thoughts and habits, so he had to ask the government to change his identity many times. Not only that, but there were also times when he himself admitted to being John Venables. In such cases, the government always had to go to great lengths to give him a new identity. Most recently, in 2019, due to being imprisoned indefinitely, the government no longer wants to keep him anonymous and is considering relocating him to another country. The story of James Bulger is far from over. What do you think about the murderer John Venables? Do you think he's likely to reoffend? And was the British government really right in making the decision to keep his identity secret? Please comment below. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell to be the first to view when we release a new video.